Hello everybody, I'm Zenith Warrior Princess, the cutest of buns, and today I'm breaking character for the first time on the show. Normally, I like to keep Bun Squad videos completely immersed in the lore of the Bun Squad, which is why I act as if I actually own a TARDIS, my cats can cook dinner for me, and the ability to henshin is actually real. Not that Kana and Chiaki haven't tried in real life, cause they walk all over the stove all the time, knock over my soda as they train to henshin, and scream at me as I try to interpret what they're trying to say. At the same time, they can't actually talk in real life, I do not own a TARDIS, and if Kana ever had the opportunity to henshin, she would destroy half the city for treats before passing out and acting like nothing had happened when she woke up the next day. I just like to keep the immersion of my universe intact for fans. With that being said, one of my closest friends, namely Linkara, manages to break character frequently during his reviews and still keeps the immersion intact, and I wanted to take a leaf out of his book with this video. You see, every year Linkara does a top 15 list of either his top mistakes, missed opportunities, or something else he just wants to make a list of. Granted, I don't have nearly enough episodes of the Bun Squad to make any of these kinds of lists, but Linkara also breaks character at the beginning of these videos to give us a look back at his year of content from his perspective. He talks about how the year affected him, how his channel did overall, and what major events have happened in his storyline over the year. So, with that being said, starting this year, I'm going to make this a yearly tradition. Although next year will most likely tie it into a top 15 list or a regular Bun Squad episode. I'm not going to be breaking character often, but I think it makes sense when it comes to major milestones for the show, like our delayed 1-year anniversary video, our 50th episode, and other such events. These are big in my book, and I think it only fair to discuss things from scriptwriter Zen's point of view, rather than magical talking cat Zen. With that being said, let's take a step back, break character for a moment, and talk about 2020. I think it comes as no surprise that 2020 was a horrible year for most people. The human malware came out of nowhere and completely changed the way we live and operate. Between lockdowns and other quarantine measures, most of us had to spend the year inside, going stir-crazy, watching videos just to keep ourselves sane. However, that was made even more difficult thanks to all the political and social upheaval that was happening all over the place. Normally, I make a habit to stay out of conflicts, drama, and especially politics, because they can tear us apart so damn quickly, but even so, I was drawn into the numerous different tragedies that happened this year. At every turn, it seemed like something new and horrible was happening. Fires in California, riots in every major city due to police brutality and murder, and basic human rights being stripped away from minorities and everyone in the LGBTQ plus community, with bills that were slipped through without anyone noticing anything was happening. Racism, bigotry, and hatred was widespread throughout the year, to the point that even I was starting to get anti-trans slurs as comments in my videos. That's never happened to me before, but it only got worse as the year went by, especially when several major celebrities in the UK started anti-trans campaigns, including J.K. Rowling and William Shatner. There are so many people in the UK who rallied as trans-exclusionary radical feminists, or TERFs for short, which is not a slur, but a technical term for people who think I have no right to exist. On top of that, dozens of other celebrities were outed as terrible human beings, including numerous different wrestlers who I'll no longer be supporting. While all of this was going on, the news was filled with idiotic thing after idiotic thing from the people in charge of making sure this country is on track. Hundreds of thousands died in America alone from this pandemic, and that's not counting the deaths from poverty and those who received no aid whatsoever from the billionaires who could have given us something to help through the month after we were laid off with no idea when we could return to work. Then there were the weird things that happened, such as the monolith appearing randomly as a viral marketing campaign and all the other random disasters that struck this year. This year was a decade for all of us. We went through a lot this year, and here's hoping next year is better, because I haven't even touched upon everything that happened. I'd be here all year if I did that, but you know, you've lived through it. As have I. On my end, this year has not been very kind. I moved to Minnesota at the start of this year for a fresh start since chronic health issues made it impossible to return to my previous job as a machinist. I couldn't lift more than 25 pounds or do anything too physical, so I had to start all over again. So I moved to Minnesota and tried working as a tax preparer, only to wait 1 month for a paycheck, being forced to work alone after only a few days training, and just was utterly treated like garbage. So I quit my job and looked everywhere with next to no luck. Turns out most jobs aren't very receptive to their employees being disabled, even if they say so on paper. I interviewed for a position at Bremer Bank, and they straight up said to my face, after seeing I was disabled on the application, that they wouldn't make accommodations for me. They called me to the interview just to laugh at me for being disabled, and told me to look elsewhere when they are required by law to make reasonable accommodations. So that was a thing that happened. I went right back out and applied to every job again, including several temp agencies, until I finally got hired as a loan consultant at Wells Fargo, only for the pandemic to hit just as I found stability. All of our friend group got the flu at the exact same time, although we believed it was human malware at that point, and we put ourselves under quarantine, which is followed by several months of lockdown. During the lockdown, my job just vanished because they wanted to move things to a different state that was, quote, safer and easier to set up during lockdown. They offered me 2 more jobs, which also just vanished after I nailed both interviews again, and after that I had nothing for months. Unemployment took forever to go through, several months in fact, with no pay, and when it finally cleared, it was only just enough to get by until they approved the supplemental pay of unemployment and the single stimulus check of $1,200 that arrived months later and was barely enough to get through the month. Nobody was hiring whatsoever, anywhere I looked, and I hit a state of depression that I hadn't seen in years because I couldn't afford any of my medication, and I had no insurance because I'd been jumping from job to job in the past 6 months, and nothing would stick. So I spent the majority of the year jobless and endlessly searching with none of my OCD, depression, anxiety, or other medication that I desperately needed. It was simply hell, and it got worse when I was rushed to the hospital several times because I couldn't breathe, which only made my medical bills larger as nobody could tell me what was really going on. We eventually settled on asthma as the cause, made worse by my disability that causes my chest to implode. Unfortunately, my chest doctor moved to Florida with no warning, so nobody knows if the chest surgery is a cause or not. I may find out in a year if I can work long enough to afford insurance. Either way, I was given an inhaler that appeared to help at first, but later on I found it made my condition worse, giving me heart palpitations and making it difficult to breathe, among other things. We believe I had an allergic reaction or that it was one of the side effects of albuterol, but I have to wait and see because at this time, nobody can give me a straight answer. Amidst all of this, I finally found another job as an admin for a trucking company which tried to work me to death. They had mandatory 10-hour workdays in order to catch up with orders since the lockdowns were over, so we had to work those, but that's not all. We were told it was normally an 8-hour workday and that 10s were temporary, but in reality we were supposed to work until the job was done. I would get in at 2 p.m. and often leave at 3 in the morning. This was Monday to Friday, meaning I would have to often work 55 hours base, but even then we were forced to work every other Saturday as well. With my disability, this was hell for me. I would get home and do chores and sleep for a few hours before working again at the stressful job that demanded that we do 3 times the normal workload. I had several panic attacks at work simply because it was too much, and then I got sick and my contract was canceled because I was out for 2 days. During a pandemic. After taking a few weeks to recover, I went back out to try again and finally found a seemingly permanent job as a machine operator in a company that makes glasses. It is similar to machining, so I picked it up rather quickly, and a less physical work, so I had no issues health-wise at that point. That is, until the problems with my inhaler that made it difficult to breathe for several days. We initially thought it was human malware, so I was quarantined a week without pay, but I tested negative, so I got back to work after finding out the inhaler was the issue. Thankfully, this job actually understood that there was a fucking pandemic going on and people get sick. They worked with me every step of the way, and to this day I am one of the top temps at the company and poised to get a full-time job. Please cross your fingers for me. I really do need something stable. While all this was happening, I also noticed several moles on my back beginning to grow, and I began to worry that it might be skin cancer, since that runs in my family. Thankfully, a skin doctor removed them very recently, but I have no idea the results of the test yet, and most of the past few months, I've had that worry at the back of my mind that it could be skin cancer. Hopefully, I can come back in a few weeks making a room-style joke of me definitely not having skin cancer, but we have to wait and see. To top off this year of utter shite, several of my friends overdosed on drugs back in my home state due to the utter depressing year. There is a drug epidemic going on in Rhode Island, and I lose more and more friends to it every single year. The last time I was in the state, I attended a Macklemore concert live to help end drug abuse, raise awareness, and help people gain the courage to go to rehab. It was a fantastic concert, and I was down in the front row seeing Macklemore 10 feet in front of me, crying as he sang Same Love. That song is so damn brilliant, and I adore all of his work. Still, not much seems to have happened since then, since I keep losing friends to drug overdoses. Please, if you are addicted to drugs, are clinically depressed, or wish yourself harm, talk to somebody. There are ways for you to get help. I want you all to survive this year, and I've lost too many people to count at this point. there are reasons for you to live. There are links to several hotlines in the description below, so please accept help. There are many people out there who need you, including yourself. You need yourself far more than you will ever know. Finally, we ended this year with a blizzard unlike any other, where I drove to work in whiteout conditions and then got stuck on my way home the day before Christmas Eve. Nothing was plowed properly, and I got stuck on an off-ramp on the highway as a conga line of cars tried to pass me and got stuck as well. I finally managed to back up with the help of another driver and made it home after 2 hours of driving. The trip to work normally takes 23 minutes. Wow, they did a horrible job on this blizzard. 2020 seemed to be a never-ending stream of awful, horrible things, not just to me personally, but to the entire world at large. However, despite all the things I endured, some of which I probably forgot because something even more awful took its place in my memory, there was one thing that made this year bearable: the Bun Squad. I started this year by making it my goal to make this new channel work. It was one of my few goals for the entire year. I wanted to start over again with a brand new channel that showcases me as trans and didn't have any copyright issues. My old channel was plagued with copyright takedowns from Toei and claims from Universal and other film studios, which became too much after a while. Couple that with the fact that I had transitioned a few years ago, but nothing on the channel reflected that transition. I wanted a channel that showcased that I was a girl, and I wanted a brand that was reflective of me as a person. I like a lot of my old work, but it just wasn't me. So in October of 2019, I decided to start over from scratch. A brand new channel with old content, but focus on a singular series that people would know me for. The first idea was just to start remaking all the old videos, starting with History of One Piece. My good friend at the time, Philip, who is now much more than a friend, offered to try his hand at editing, and I figured I'd give him a shot. I didn't redo the audio since I had just re-recorded the video for the second time on the old channel and edited 3 times to try to get past copyright. Frankly, I was just exhausted and I just wanted to see what Phil could do, and it ended up making this channel what it is. We decided to go with pictures instead of footage since it's very hard to claim a still image, and that proved to be the trick. When I saw the remade episode of Alvita, I was actually blown away because 1, it was not taken down or attacked in any way by Toei, and 2, Phil did a wonderful job editing together an enjoyable video. Sure, there were things to improve, but for the first video, it was fantastic. This video premiered on November 28th, 2019, and it marked the beginning of the Bun Squad. From there, Phil and I took a month off to start planning out the channel and what it would actually be focused on. We initially intended 5 separate sub-series, all under the Bun Squad banner: History of One Piece, Zen Anime, Zen Movies, Should You Complete This, which was replacing Zen Gaming, and finally Zen Who. The first few episodes were largely experimental, where I focused on feminizing my voice and mostly just re-recording the old scripts. However, when we got to the Gurren Lagann episode, I stumbled upon the idea for the Bun Squad brand. We would be the cute channel with my cats as a focus and bunnies as our mascot. I got the idea randomly by looking at my pink bunny pajamas that I had gotten because I was a big fan of Kill la Kill, and thinking of what I'd call my followers. We would be the Bun Squad, and I would be the cutest of buns. Again, those first few episodes were largely just to test the waters and get used to recording and editing with my new voice and 2D puppet rig, but I think these episodes were really fun to make and still hold up far better than anything from the previous years. We had a distinct style that I loved, and I actually enjoyed watching these videos, which is more than I can say for some of my old work. From there, we focused on creating lore for the channel. Here are the cats as they have funny adventures in space and time in the TARDIS. I wanted to build something that people wanted to learn more about, and the more and more we scripted, the more lore and story I began to write until we had a cast of characters. We quickly upgraded the models and effects for the show and added a voice cast to make the cats more enjoyable. I mean, who doesn't love talking cats? We upgraded my puppet rig to be much more expressive thanks to Witchy Lizzie and her incredible artwork and layers upon layers of poses. We gave the cats more expressive anthropomorphic models so that we could have dialogue with them, and of course we added Phil and Linkara to the cast. From there we were a full house, so I just focused on making the episodes themselves more enjoyable to watch. I bought a new microphone with what little credit I had left, which was difficult to learn at first and had issues of background noise, but blew my previous one out of the water in terms of quality. After some trial and error, the audio is better than ever before. We got the cats better audio, we already have better video thanks to the models, and every so often I threw in cameos just to have some fun, to have some spice of variety. Now that the technical side was mostly stable, I just focused on the scripts and making videos that I wanted to see, and hopefully you would enjoy as well. This is where we really hit our stride. While I love a lot of the videos from earlier in the year, like Unearthly Child, Cloverfield, Kingsman, and Romance Dawn, it was really the middle of the year where we hit our stride. Ratchet & Clank Future Tools of Destruction was the start of a massive block of episodes that I simply loved, and you bunnies did as well. The LEGO Movie and the LEGO Movie video game introduced us to a new segment called Licensed Media Limbo, and those became some of my top videos at the time. The Daleks followed up on Unearthly Child and led to some amazing comments, while the Dark Crystal proved that you bunnies really enjoyed movie discussion, even if I didn't always enjoy the movie fully. We also premiered 2 new series that did better than I could have ever hoped. To this day, Zen Trek, my review of Star Trek Season 1, is the fastest growing video that I have ever made, with the most interaction, likes, and just general sentiment that I did a good job. That video made this so worthwhile because I put so much love into it, even if I am new to Star Trek. In addition, Zentoku also did far better than I ever expected, since I am rather new to tokusatsu as well. You bunnies were so wonderful in helping me learn more about the series without dismissing my opinion for being a casual fan. This block cemented the Bun Squad as something I adored, and every single episode added more story and lore and fun gags to explore. We will explain how I got a hold of Comic-Con 1 at some point in the future, as well as whether or not Kana will henshin, although I suspect she will, with everyone yelling at me to just let the kitty henshin already. Your constant mentions of that, and of Chiaki being sus, fills me with such joy, as do the questions of how I got Linkara's ship. All will be told in due time, but these are all threads that will be explored in future episodes on the show. In addition to all of this, we ended the year on such a fantastic note with the most ambitious of our projects for the moment. We began a yearly tradition with Zenoween as we covered 3 spoopy subjects, even if others might think they aren't particularly scary, and some people have voiced their disagreement on this fact. The theme this year was monsters, from the hilarious antics of Monster Prom to the Dark Crystal, which technically counts in my book since it's about stopping monsters, all the way to Halloween, which is about a monster masquerading as a man. I am a huge fan of the Halloween season, and while managing to get out 3 videos in a single month was very tough, especially given Monster Prom's length, since that was a crossover, we actually managed to do it, and I can't wait for next year with an entirely different theme. In addition to Zenoween, we also managed to recreate my Assassination Classroom review, which is some of my best work to date and one of my top anime reviews. I had so much fun updating that script, which is something we've done more and more as we've gone on. For the first few reviews, the scripts were only changed slightly, but after Cloverfield, we started updating more and more, to the point where many of the scripts had entire paragraphs redone and rewritten from the ground up. This was the case with Assassination Classroom. While Food Wars Season 1 also had some major rewrites, I think A-Class came out the best so far in terms of anime reviews and was massively improved over the previous review. Honestly, there was a lot of fluff in those old reviews, and I think they're so much better now. Finally, we have my masterpiece, the enormous Humongous Entertainment video. This was just damn fun to make. It was incredibly long to record, since we decided after a fan poll not to split the videos into parts anymore, aside from the anniversary episode, which was supposed to come out on the anniversary, but was delayed for other reasons. It'll be out very soon, and while it's not on the anniversary, it's still the first real episode of the Bun Squad since the anniversary, so it counts in my book. Phil will discuss why that video's taken so long in an update video real soon, but trust me when I say that it will be worth the wait, and it's going to be just as much fun as Humongous is. In any case, we decided to just make the length longer instead of splitting the videos because the fans wanted it, so this video, covering 4 separate games, took a very long time to make, but it was so worth it. It ended up being around the same length as the full Kamen Rider double episode, which made more sense to split anyway because of the whole double theme, but it was just so much fun, I didn't even notice. I wrote this as a breather in between series episodes. Coming up, we have videos discussing sensitive topics and personal stuff like depression and other depressing topics, and before this we had scary stuff, so for Humongous I wanted something really fun. I wrote in as many jokes as I possibly could, and we pared it down to the best ones. This, more than anything, was an episode that I wanted to be funny and just enjoyable to watch. The comments and reaction was everything I wanted and more. Everyone just said that they had a warm, fuzzy feeling while watching, and while they didn't expect this from the subject matter, this ended up making them laugh and smile. This, more than anything, made my year. To date, this is the video on the channel with the most watch hours. People loved this episode, and it fills me with such joy. You cannot begin to understand how much that you really loved how much time and effort that we put in. It's so much. I don't have words. It's so wonderful. The Bun Squad wasn't the only good thing about this year for me though. Early on in the year, I made several new friends in the area, including Noel and Game Show Reviewer, who have both been so much fun to talk to throughout the year, especially when it comes to movies, Boy Meets World, and Big Red Soda. Although, I still am not fully convinced that Zaxby's exists, GSR. I need to see it to believe it. Earlier on in the year, before the human malware hit, we had movie watch parties with a huge group of our friends where I met Fess and Melissa for the first time. We had a double feature of Mortal Kombat, which I had seen before, and Street Fighter the movie, which I had not. It was a blast riffing on both films, although I still think they hold up for the most part, and people are way too harsh on them. They are goofy, but they're a lot of fun. Linkara also later showed me Alien and Aliens for the first time, which we watched together over Discord. Both of these films are simply fantastic, and I had a blast. The last movie-going experience we had before lockdown was our entire group getting together to watch the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, where Noel and I bonded over video games and loved the movie immensely. This was the year that Linkara and I grew really close, as I relied on him for several emergencies, and I can't thank him enough for his help. Vega remained one of my best friends, although we only got to see her a few times during Linkara's move to a new house and the wedding of Crimson and Aspiri. I really miss hanging out with Vega, and I hope we can do more next year. Meanwhile, Crimson and Aspiri also saved my life with several emergency visits themselves, and were some of the best roommates I could have ever asked for. They also introduced me to their cats, Hime and the boy, who I love with all of my heart, and I visit them once a week because Auntie Zen needs to pet her niece and nephew. It has to happen. They are just too precious and I love them. But also, Crimson and Aspiri are wonderful friends, and they made this year bearable for me as I dealt with my own personal issues. They helped me get a few of my jobs, and they make the best homemade pizza. This was also the year I became a regular on Linkara's show. I became a mod on his Discord server, which you can join by pledging $1 to his Patreon, hint hint wink wink, which helped me keep active in a bad time, and his fan base is simply the best. They welcomed me with open arms, and I love them for that. Later this year, I also joined Linkara's streams as a co-host and moderator, which became the highlight of my week. We've had some truly hilarious streams, including Dead Space with drunken Isaac Clarke and the fictional Sun Cola, Mass Effect with the crazy moon rover that made us look drunk while operating it, rest in peace, you'll be sorely missed, Batman Arkham Asylum, where we totally completed everything on the first try, and of course Hitman with Propano the Clown. Don't ask questions, just look it up. It all has to do with this crazy web of streams, and it was just plain awesome. That's not including the side streams with Pokemon Nuzlocke, Among Us, and Jackbox, just to name a few. These streams were so cathartic for me, and I thank Linkara's fanbase for not only enjoying me as an addition to the streams, but watching my show as well. You all made this year so much better for me, and I cannot thank you enough. Linkara joining my storyline has been wonderful, and GSR is convinced that Kana stealing the coin is canon in Linkara's storyline, since it ties really well into the Contest of Champions. Although Linkara is a bit iffy about it, we'll see about getting into his story lore when the malware subsides and we can actually be there in person. This was also the year Phil and I officially started dating, which was one of the best additions to my life. Thank you so much for being there for me, baby, and making this show work. I could not have done it without you. Also, massive shout out to everyone who cameoed this year. Michelle Speck, who plays Chiaki, Miss Nightmare, who plays Kana, our audio editors, Nick and Shannon, our latest editor, Acquisition, Ivy, will also be working on audio for the Bun Squad, and the video editing for completion guides, all of the artists we've commissioned this year, anyone who sent us fan art, which was far more than I ever expected, and anyone I may have missed. You made this year so much better than it actually was, and Philip and I thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you so much.
Hey everyone, Philip here, editor of the Bun Squad and currently dating Zen. Like Zen, I just want to quickly thank all of you for this past year. It has been truly amazing. Honestly, I feel like for a while my passion in making videos kind of went away for a little while, and really it's thanks for the Bun Squad that actually allowed me to, go out and have fun making videos again, making them for Zen. The collabs that we've done, including, both, Monster Prom, Humongous, and now coming up the 1 year anniversary, which is going to be a collab between the two of us. It's just been so much fun. I've loved every second of it, and you guys have really made it worth it. The fact that we get such viewer interaction, even though it may not seem like much compared to other people and their channels, but it's really meant the world to us, and it's really meant the world to me personally. This, for as much as this is Zen's baby, it also, I wouldn't say it also feels like my baby, but it also feels like something that I can be proud of as well. As it's something that Zen can be proud of, and it's something that I myself can also be proud of. So yeah, thank you all so much for this past year, and here's to another one, and another one after that, and another one after that, and another one after that as well. So yeah, take care everyone.
This year has been hard on many different levels, but if there's one thing that brought me more joy than ever before, it was the Bun Squad. From the comments and discussion to the shares and the likes, you bunnies made this the year of the Bun Squad, and I love you for it. This channel is still growing every day, and while I've had an impromptu break while I prepare for next year's videos, this channel has not only reached 500 subscribers, but we've gotten even more love and attention than I ever thought possible. Thank you so much, and I can never express that enough. We have a lot coming up and planned for the future. Coming up in 2021 is the belated 1 year anniversary video covering Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the end of the current story arc, which will be a review of Blood Blockade Battlefront Season 1, the long-awaited Danganronpa Marathon, which will be the main series going on throughout the Despair arc, and of course, Fate Stay Night. We've been building to it for a while now, and since Phil keeps bugging me about it, I'm finally gonna crack down and cover it. Just a heads up though, we'll be splitting the Fate franchise up into groups, and focusing on each group as we go, since this franchise is freaking huge. The first group of videos will focus on the visual novel, its adaptations, and Fate Zero and Hollow Ataraxia, its prequel and sequel respectively. Then the second group will cover the Stay Night specific spin-offs, like today's menu for the Emiya family, and also everything to do with Tsukihime, which is its own can of worms. And then so on and so on. It'd take forever to list them all. Believe me, if we did this any other way, I'm sure I would eventually die of Fate burnout, and I don't think even Phil would want that, because there's a lot of Fate, and they keep adding new stuff since we scheduled it. It's too much. But we'll get to it. We've also got My Little Pony coming for Zen TV very soon, and more Zen Who and Kamen Rider as well. We've got some more History of One Piece in the works, but just as a warning, we've only got 2 episodes planned for 2021. The Buggy Arc and the Gonzack OVA. We really wanted to focus on our story this year, and History of One Piece will be the only series going forward that doesn't have any story, so unfortunately it got the shaft this year, but we will do more in the future. At the very least, when we reach Gonzack, we'll be all caught up to where we were before, and come 2022, there will be a lot of History of One Piece. 2022 will be the year of History of One Piece, while 2021 will be the year of the Bun Squad, or as I like to call it, 2020 Bun. We also have new shows in the works for other topics such as wrestling and comics, and looking beyond 2021, we have more marathons such as looks at the MCU and video game series like Professor Layton in the works. There's a lot happening in the future, my buns, and while it may look bleak at times, there's always another dawn, and the new horizon brings new opportunities. Never give in to fear, hate, or despair. I believe in you, buns. Go out there and do great things. And get ready, because the future of the Bun Squad is very bright. But first, prepare for despair, followed by lots of hope, and possibly the Hope Mobile. Danganronpa goes to some interesting places, let's just put it that way. With all that being said, I'll see you all next time for the 1-year anniversary of the Bun Squad. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm sorry I had a hard time keeping my voice up for this long recording, so please bear with me. This is what happens with my asthma. It gets harder to keep up after a while. But anyway, if you like what you see, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so that you too can join the Bun Squad, my legion of cute, fluffy bunnies that watch my videos. And make sure you hit that bell to be notified of every new video. Have a good one, everybody, and we're done.